Okay, I'm sorry. So as I was saying, the stock market is a place for you to buy individual shares of companies, and then the goal is to sell them at a profit. And whether you do that in a few minutes, called scalping, whether you do it throughout the day, maybe you close your positions out for the entire day, that's more like day trading. Whether you do that over the course of a few days or a few weeks, maybe even a month, that's more like position trading, where you're taking a position in a stock, believing you're going to get a certain outcome. And then, if you're holding stocks for the long term, that is long-term trading. And so what you'll find is that you can do what the professional money managers do, obviously without the same level of skill initially or the same level of resources and technology. But you can create your own portfolio. So with mutual funds, a you have a basket of stocks, right? You put your money in a mutual fund. The mutual fund money manager manages that fund, and he or she selects, say there's 50 stocks in that fund. And if five of those stocks are not doing great, the other 45 might be doing just fine. And then throughout your time working at your company, you are dollar cost averaging in and you're buying stocks we'll say the end of every month or the end of every 2 weeks when you get paid, and you're putting that money in a 401(k) and the money is growing tax sheltered. So you're buying a mutual fund because you're mutually pooling your money together for a common purpose, and that is the rise in the share price, and you eventually sell. Or the net asset value is what it's called for mutual funds. So on the stock side, it's no different. You're just simply creating a portfolio or a basket of stocks if you're going to have more than one. And then your goal is to do homework, both technical analysis and fundamental analysis, to have the outcome that you're looking for. So technical analysis, big fancy word for just saying looking at the charts and the chart patterns and the technical indicators, and I'll show that to you guys here in a second, um, to be able to figure out when you would look to buy the stock. And fundamental analysis is simply, the numbers surrounding that particular security. What do their earnings look like? What's the cash that they have? What's the debt look like? What the numbers. And so I don't lean too much, take a deep dive into the numbers, but I'll look at them enough to get an idea as to whether a company is growing year over year, quarter over quarter. What does the business look like? So if I say to you guys, let's take a look at Lowe's and Home Depot. Well, we all know that that is a home improvement sector. It's those two main stocks that represent that industry. And so we could lean into the numbers and tie that to interest rates and what the economy looks like, what's forecasted for the economy, all of those things. I say that to say, so when I say technical and fundamental analysis, you don't have to take this great big deep dive, or it sounds, something that's over somebody's head because it's really not. So, so then what do? You open up a brokerage account, and that is just simply opening an account that allows you to move money, to trade stocks on the exchange. And a brokerage account, you could open that in a number of places, such as Robinhood, Charles Schwab, your bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, et cetera. Lots of places to have a brokerage account. Then your goal is to figure out whether or not you want to have that as a taxable account or a tax sheltered account. And let me tell you right now, consider doing both, because when I made couple of $1 million, that was all in a taxable account. And I thought that the short-term capital gains tax rate was 20%. I knew it was 37%, but I thought when Trump came in during his first term, that they lowered the capital gains tax rate. They talked about that, but that did not happen. And my mind just wasn't where it should have been as it related to taxes. So I had to pay a lot in taxes. So consider moving money in a tax sheltered vehicle or a tax sheltered account. So, or you just run two accounts. And so now you're moving money, you're making money. So you say, Eugene, how much do I need to deposit to get started? I started with $477 this time around, the last time around back in 2020. And and so then what you can do is systematically add money to it. So you don't have to start with a lot of money. I ideally, would love to see you guys start with, $500 if you have it. And then, if you make 10%, in a couple of weeks or a couple of days or however quickly you make that money, at least it's some sort of tangible figure that we can say, okay, I made $50 on $500, and we keep building that account. Let me show you, because I've been talking too much. Let me show you my a success with trading. Let me bring it up. One second. I was able to take $5,000 and turn it into $2.4 million. Let me turn this camera around. See if I can do this right. You guys, I'm technically challenged all the time. Let's see here. Flip the camera. All right. So let's see here. I am going to make this bigger. This is This is my trading account, not my trading account, my YouTube account, Kraken. So I'll be posting a number of videos over there for you guys to watch. So on that page, let's see here. Let me pull it up. You can type in from Uber driver to multimillionaire while you're at home and find the same video and watch it later. Let's see. Driver to, that's not the right one, but let's see if that's somebody else's. Drove to multi-millionaire. Try that. Oh, no, 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 no. It's probably a lot easier for me to do this on my own page, would be a little smarter. Well, I thought it would be simple to do it that way, but let's see here. My apologies. Give me 1 second. Let me just go to my page. We're on the, that's why I can't see it, because I'm not on the right account. Okay, so come on. My gosh, I told you I was technically challenged. Why? There we go. So difficult. Okay, so here's the video that normally would be right here that would just come up. And so what you're seeing is TD Ameritrade bought Charles Schwab bought TD Ameritrade, and they said they weren't moving the account balances over. So they said that chart, that is, if you wanted a copy of the chart, you better make a copy because it wasn't transferring. So I'm just sliding. Okay, see my name, Brown, and then see balance history. And okay, let me let it play. And I'll hold this up a little bit so you can see it. Okay. So back in looking at my two computers, but I'm sliding this one down. So back in March 2020, you'll see that I had $477 right there, right there. Remember, I told you guys 477. And that was March of 2020. And then I'll hit play wherever that is, and I'll walk you through it. So Charles Schwab was not moving the account balance over. And there we go. And so I added about $5,000 total. I had about $4,500 extra that I added. And I was able to grow my balance, you see right there, to September 2020 to 299,000. And then I proceeded to lose money all the way down to about 65 right there. And then I kept going, took my balance to about 700,000 by December. And then there was a correction to the 400 you'll see coming up. Yep. And then I got my head out of my ass and got myself together and then took the balance from a half a million in a month to about 1.5 million. Watch this. You'll see January 7th. And then I grew my account to by February 7th to 1.5-ish. Just going right there, 1.5. And that was in February 7th or so. So anyway, long story short, I kept growing the account, and by sometime mid-February, I reached about 2.4 million. And then I took the money out to buy a new home for the family, new furniture and cars, etc., and paid a lot in taxes. So you see right there. So 2.4 million by February 22nd, 2021. Took a bunch of money out, paid cash for the house, and started to reset. So, and I'll show that later for someone who just kind of jumps on late. Um, so you can start with a small balance. It doesn't have to be a lot of money that you start with. Again, I started with $477. I added some money to it. And how do you add money to it? Just like you would do in a mutual fund. You just transfer money from your checking account or your savings to your brokerage account, excuse me, and then you have more capital to use. Now, um, the rules have changed. You're not going to be day trading if you have less than $25,000 in there. But the settlement time frame for money used to be, I think a long time ago, T trade date T +3. I think it was many, many years ago. Then it went to two, and now it's one. So if I buy something today and sell it today, I have to wait one day for that money to settle. So trade date +1. So just know that it might take you a day to reuse that money. But if you have other cash available, then certainly you can continue to move money. So I say that to say because it's almost like day trading. So not that you want to do that right out of the gate. So let's take a look. Long time ago, there's a new book you can buy. It's called Day Trading for a Living. And so I would encourage you guys is to, if you want to learn how to move money, you can certainly be self-taught. This day and age with so much information that's available, it's certainly without question possible. I self-taught, um, but I still have a long way to go and a lot to learn. But I would tell you guys that is probably not the best strategy to be self-taught. I think I would learn along the way, but I would learn along the way with a coach, and I do coaching. And I don't say that because I coach. I say that because it's going to cost you usually a lot of money when you don't do it that way. Because too many people, they'll end up they'll blow up their accounts, meaning they put $5,000 in, they had a victory, they felt like they knew what they were doing. and then they get punched in the face, and then there's a big problem for them. And then they'll get washed out of the market and they'll end up losing a couple $1,000s or whatever, and they'll feel bad about it and they'll never come back to it. And they'll think, this stock market thing, it's too hard, or it's manipulation, it's rigged, I'm not smart enough, whatever it is. You just needed some coaching, someone to take you by the hand and help you learn how to move money. So, School of Hard Knocks chronicled a little bit in here. Back of the book. This was down here, 2006. And I wanted to take $2,000, if I can read that backwards, $2,000. And the goal was by 2009, you're looking backwards, 1209. The goal was to earn whatever that says backwards, $250,000 for the Zoom folks right here. The goal was 2006, and I was going to grow my balance in 2009. So that didn't happen because I got washed out of the market. Front of the book, fast forward 10 years, 2016. My goal was to take $5,000 roughly and turn it into, by the end of the year, $129,000 by December. So clearly, you guys, clearly, uh, so if you guys are just joining me, I showed how I took $5,000 and turned it into $2.4 million. I'll circle back and show that to you. But clearly, I always believed that you could take about $5,000 and turn it into something week by week, month by month. And so I've always had that goal. I've always been clear on what the hell I was trying to do. The problem was I wasn't balance between the ears. I was too emotional. I was too greedy. I was too aggressive. I didn't have enough of the right skill set, enough of the right technical and fundamental skills as far as evaluation skills in my brain. I treated money as if it grew on trees. I, I wasn't ready for it. And so again, when COVID hit, in 2019, it was starting to hit. And I remember my wife and daughter had some weird virus thing going around. But when COVID hit and the markets were tanking, and the early spring of 2020 was coming around, my brother and some other folks called and said, "What do you think I should buy in this market?" And the reason why they were asking, probably because they knew that I have had some experience, some successes and failures moving money in the stock market. I used to work for the Vanguard Group many years ago, and I used to be a financial planner at Ameriprise Financial Services. And but what I will tell you that none of that, excuse me, none of that really matters too much. It only matters for the story. But the reality is, you could be a high school dropout and I could teach you how to move money. It's not rocket science, but there's nuances to it. There's a learning curve that you have to go through for you to be able to consistently make money on a week by week basis. And so anyway, so let's look at a stock. Someone give me a stock that we'll pull up, put one in the chat if you will, and we'll take a look at it and we'll run through one. Tesla, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Let's take a look at it. And again, for those of you guys that are just joining me, I'll show you the money here in a second, where I took about 5,000 and turned it into $2.4 million in a year. Okay, so let me turn this magic camera around and let me show you the setup. So first of all, let me back up. You don't have to have any of this sort of setup, right? What you need is simply You need a laptop or your cell phone, and excuse me, throat's dry. And that's it. I have all of these extra monitors if I want to have other things up that I'm looking at. So I can put things up on this monitor, other charts, etc. I like to have the information um, handy, but not necessary. This is when, we're doing this thing um, full time. So what you're looking at here is Charles Schwab's Thinkorswim that used to be TD Ameritrade, and I just showed you guys that a little bit ago. So let's put in Tesla. So during regular trading hours, I like to have the news set up right here for Tesla, the time and sales, but of course the market's closed, so you don't see any trading. For my customers, uh, some of them I have their portfolio set up so you can see that says Kim. So I know what Kim owns, and I have alerts on Kim's stocks to help her trade. If we look at Tesla, what I like to do, I like to look at the stock, excuse me, in all time frames, and I'll teach uh, folks how I do what I do. So um, with Tesla, if we want to look at sort of big picture, I will look at let me just click on it. I don't know why it's not doing big picture already. Boom. Let's see. There we go. Let's put Tesla back in here. I have it pre-programmed to show the grid the way I need it. All right. So Tesla, what we see here is monthly MO, weekly, daily, and hourly over here. So I like to look at it all at one time at times, but for the purpose of this morning, we'll look at one time frame at a time so you guys can see it better. So clear this out. So let's look at Tesla. Tesla is a what? And it's a conglomerate, really. It sells cars, electric vehicles, that is. Um, it does solar, it does space, it does a number of things. And so when we look at it, let's back this up so we can see it. We can see what you're looking at here. These are candles. They look like candles. Let me lean in so you can see it. See, they look like candles, like there's a wick. This is the Japanese system, candlestick charting, that the Americans adopted many, many years ago because each candle tells you something different. So I'll make this bigger so you can see it right here. So looking at this particular part of the chart, if the candle is red, that means the stock closed lower than it did the previous month because we're looking at a monthly time frame right now. So each one of these candles represents a month. So in the month of uh, right here, the month of March the 22nd, the stock opened, and you can see opened, high, low, close. The stock opened at 289 for trading, and that is this corner right here, 289. The high was here, 371.59, and the low was here, and the close is the top right. So open, bottom left, high, low, close, top right. The opposite is true if it's a red candle. Open is top left, high, low, and close is bottom right. So in the month of April of 2022, this stock closed lower than it did the previous month because because you guys are all smarter now, that this stock closed at 359. You can see that, right? 359, where you see the C. So it closed lower than that the following month. So Green is the stock closed higher, red is lower. So let's go back to the chart, the big picture. So now, I've got several months on here. We can see the stock was in a downtrend, and this was back in November of 2021, where we topped out. So it started a downtrend. Then, of course, you can see the stock was in an uptrend here and then a downtrend here, all basic stuff, right? Remember I said we can teach a ninth grader how to do this? Um, and then you can see here going downtrend, and then there was some consolidation. We can see that here, and it was more like, apologies, trying to hold and do the same thing. Here, there was some consolidation here. So we'll make this bigger. So the big picture tells me that Tesla, for the last so many months, this is April. How did I know that? That was Trump tax month, because a lot of stocks dipped way down and then came screaming back up once he changed his stance on tariffs. I just recognize this candlestick specifically because I know that's April. And so the stock has been in an uptrend and it has held this support. This is called support. It's in an uptrend, and this line where everything connects is support. So the stock's going up, it's holding support, and then it breaks through and has this big giant green candle that shows you that the bulls are in control. A lot of folks were coming in. We broke out of this resistance area because we spun up here, then we stopped, and then we went across. So we've got a couple of areas where we've got this sort of, we can't get through this price point. Then we went down, closed here. Then we held support here, right? And then we went back up, but we couldn't get through this line again, right? And then the next month we went back down, but we held the support line. And then we went back up, and we still can't close above this line. And then finally, volume comes in, not anything crazy, but a lot of bulls got on the bandwagon. This was September of 2025, few months back, and you see the strength of the move. When it's long like this, that means either up or down. That means one particular side is in control. So in this case, the bulls are in control. And so you have what's called the bulls and the bears. Bullish people believe the market is going to go up. Bearish people believe the market is going to go down, or a particular stock is going to go down. And so you'll have this fight between bulls and bears, and there's a lot of other moving pieces. So the stock ran up, closed at 44472. You see the C for close, 44472. And then the following month, it kind of hovered around that range for the next 5 months. 1 month, two, three, four, five. We haven't really gotten past this area. So this area represents resistance. Okay, guys, running it back. Downtrends, uptrends, channels or consolidation or trading range. Breakouts, when we break out of a resistance area, we went up. Now we have a new resistance point going across. So what you would need to do from here, let me turn my camera around. You would need to evaluate Tesla in multiple time frames. So we would look at it on a monthly basis, a weekly basis, a daily basis. And when I'm really trying to lean in specifically to where I would literally buy the stock, I need to know the reasons why I would buy it at a specific buy point. And that's when I talked about earlier technical analysis. That's just figuring out where you need to buy it. And we'll use technical indicators, and a bunch of other things go into deciding where I would buy the stock versus fundamental analysis. Hey, what business is Tesla in? How are they doing as a company? I just recently saw the Artemis 2 launch that's going to happen. Where are they making money? Are they taking care of the shareholders? So you combine those two schools of thought, technical versus fundamental, and then you lean in to arrive at a decision. And it doesn't take a whole lot of time, but the more you lean in, the more confident you'll be in what the outcome should be. For those of you guys that are just joining me, I'll show you the money. So I apologize to the other people who didn't have already seen the money. Let me bring that up for you. How about, okay. So I'll turn my camera. Oh, let me set it up. TD Ameritrade, which owned Thinkorswim, got bought by Charles Schwab. And the guy who asked about Tesla, the guy or the gal who asked about Tesla, I didn't give you a final answer. We'll circle back and give you a final answer, whether it's a buy or a hold or sell. They weren't moving the chart balances over. So they said, if you want a copy of it, you better make a copy of it because that chart balance is not coming with you. So because I coach, I have, let me tell you now, I have three different coaching groups, one that starts as low as 37.77. So for those of you, that's $37.77 a month. For those of you that know you eventually have to go, but you're interested in saying, hey, I want to learn more about trading, uh, you can send me an email at Eugene Brown, Eugene, Brown, like the color, at Kraken with two Ks.org. And we'll make time for us to chat on the phone or do a quick Zoom and find out what you're working on. Or quickly, if for those that may have to go that know they want to get started, the link is in the bio for that particular price point. We'll meet every week, every Tuesday for about 40 minutes, and I will teach you things every single week. I can't make it any easier for you guys or any cheaper. My wife said, give folks something that everybody on the planet can do. And I was like, well, I think everybody on the planet has 40 bucks. So I'll teach you a lot about how to make money, but you got to take the first step. The link's in the bio. So anyway, there are three different coaching groups. So Charles Schwab, um, they they bought TD Ameritrade. They wanted that business, they wanted that platform. So I made a copy of my account for 2020, that time frame where I took $5,000 roughly and turned it into $2.4 million in about 11 months. So that's what I'm going to show you real quick. All right, let me turn the camera around. Okay. So let's hit play. Talking about the very same thing I was just telling you. So I'm going to slide it, the slider. Okay, you see TD Ameritrade, my name, Brown, right? Eugene. Uh, and this is how you know sometimes when people put up, you guys on TikTok and all these various social media platforms, they put up stuff, you can't really verify that that's their money or their account, but you can see this. My account, order status, my name. I'm just moving the thing around, looking at my account. So balance history. And then we get into April of 2024. I'll lean this in a little bit. And I told you it was in March. I took $477, but then I added about $4,500 to it. Is it playing? Let's see here. Yeah. All right, March. Yeah, I guess it was playing. Maybe not. March 2020. Come on. There we go. So I took right there, $477, and on March 12th. And then, guys, I just added some money to it, just like you would do at work. You have a mutual fund or your 401k. Every 2 weeks, you're adding money to it. Same thing you do in a brokerage account. So I added about $4,500 more. And then you see in about 6 months, I took my balance to almost $300,000. So I made 60 times my money in 6 months. And then you'll see I had a big correction down to about 60,000. And so I lost then a whole lot of money. And then I had to get my head out of my butt and regroup. And I can explain all of that stuff to you later. So the balance started to come down, maybe. Come on. Did I hit play or not? There we go. Down to about 60,000. And then right here, guys, I could have quit when that thing hit about 60,000. And I could have held my head high and said, you know what? I made 14 times my money, starting from five, actually 13 times my money, whatever that number is. I can't even, I'm sorry, 12 times my money if it was about 60. And I could have been good. And I could have quit and just said, you know what, I can't figure this out. I ran it up to 300,000. Now I'm back to 60, but I didn't quit and I figured it out. I had to make some changes. And then you see, I got to 700,000 by December, starting from March. And then there was a correction down to about 414,000. The administration changed. Trump came in. This is in 2021, you see. And then I retooled my portfolio, got it back together, took a breather, took $500,000 January the 7th. And then over the course of the next month, I made $1 million. I took it to about 1.5, you can see. And then we kept going, which is kind of neat, making $1 million in a month, right there, 1.4, almost 1.5 million. I said there's February 10th, it was 1.7. So, and then I just kept going and took the balance to 2.4 million almost, sometime there in February. And then the drop that you see is me taking money out for taxes. I paid $900,000 in cash for a new home for the family. I'm pretty proud of. It was a pretty neat experience, writing them a check for the entire balance. And the lady looked at me. She said, "Why do you want to do that? Don't you want?" She said, "You don't want a mortgage or anything?" I'm like, "No, I don't want a mortgage. What I want is if I die, is that the family owns the home and everything is good." Um, so I was able to take a little bit of money, the same thing you guys can do, and turn it into a lot of money. But you have to learn how to do that. And what I always tell people is that this is more of a one-off. Most people don't take $5,000 and turn it into millions of dollars in a year, but it's certainly possible, obviously, because I did it, right? What I tell people is ideally to get what, if you think that is rich, get rich or make money a little bit slower, and with more purpose and more clarity and more direction. And what I was doing was very aggressive. But if you take your calculator out somewhere and you do, say, $5,000 and you times that by 110% and hit the equals button, especially if you do it on your phone, obviously that's $5,500. And if you hit the equals button again, it'll start calculating a 10% difference every single time you hit the equals button. So it'll turn into, I think, 6250, and you hit it again and again and again. So if you give yourself, say, 5 years to have millions of dollars, and you start it with five, and your goal is to earn 10% on your money every month, you just take the 5,000 times 110% sign equals, and then hit that 59 more times. And when you do that, you're going to see that that equals, I think it's like 1.5, $1.6 million. Now, if you did that in a tax sheltered account, well, that'd be great. You took 5 grand, say in a Roth IRA that's in a brokerage account, and you said, my goal is to earn 10% on my money each and every month. And if you do that, then your balance just compounds and compounds and compounds. And what you'll see is the money jumps and jumps and jumps. So that was the goal here, right? My goal was to take about $5,000 and try to make the money jump and jump and jump and jump and jump every month. And as you get later in the months, the jumps are bigger, right? So I took, during COVID, I laid out a plan in my planner, and I said, I'm going to take this much money, and my goal every week is to earn 10%. So it wasn't 10% a month. My goal was to earn 10% a week. And I had the numbers written out. And every week I would update it. You know, if I started at 5 and I was trying to get to 55, but I was at 6170, I wrote 6170. And I would just try to stay ahead of that number. And when you do that, you stay very, very focused and you don't, what I would tell you, you're mindful of the number, but you focus on the activity, you focus on the trade. Don't focus on the money. Focus on the process of making money. Guys, money's it's just a number. Like I don't get all lost in it. And you might say, Eugene, well, hell, that's easy for you to say you've made some money. I didn't get lost in it or even think about it, you know, that kind of way when I was 11. When I, listen, when I was 11, I did not go on the trip to Washington, D.C. because we didn't have the money. My mom was a single mom and we didn't have the money to send me on this trip. And I said, one day I'm going to have more money than I can ever spend. I'm going to be wealthy. I'm going to be rich. I'm not there yet. Making a few $1 million is not rich. I can tell you that now. You know, you can buy a house for $1 million and you pay taxes and hell, you spent half the money right there, right? Um, so it's not rich. You know, do I have some things? Do I feel blessed? Yes. But whatever that number is for you, make it systematically, make it methodically, focus on the process of making money, not the money. Because if you focus on the process and the skill set and the activity, the money just follows you. Like that's just a byproduct of the skill set. So focus on the money. And so I teach my guys and gals a lot about focusing on the money. Anybody have any quick questions while I get this sip? All right, we're going to wrap this up. Um, if you would like to learn more about trading and you've been waiting for this year to start, then I would encourage you to buy some books if you want to do it that way. Buy some books behind me, right? Um, you can be self-taught, or certainly if you're like, this guy clearly knows what the hell he's talking about. Let me get some coaching. Um, the link is in the bio for my TikTok bio. It's 37.77 a month. We'll meet every Tuesday. If you're not available on that Tuesday, say it's around 6:30, it's a new group that I started for this year. Then don't worry, all of the calls will be recorded and you'll be placed into a private Facebook group where you're going to be able to access the live call and go back and watch it. So there'll be a lot of content that'll get loaded and there'll be, you know, live streams when we do live training as well. And you'll be able to watch and learn from that. If you're one who has some experience, but you're looking for a little bit more um, interaction, then there's a group that's $97 a month. We meet every Thursday, and we're probably on the call for about an hour and a half. So you're really getting your money's worth there as well. And you also get, you know, some stock picks along the way, and I help you with some things. And then the folks who are in the other two groups, that's when I start looking at your portfolio, like, you know, where I have it actually in my system, like I showed some of you guys earlier, where I see your name and I have alerts on your stocks to try to help you throughout the week to make money. The goal is to try to make this thing free for you. If you have, say, $1,000 and you're paying me whatever, 97 bucks a month. If you can't make 10% a month minimum, like interacting with me, then you're not doing something right. Like, because I'll give you plenty enough for you to make money. But again, if you want to get your feet wet, see if this is a good fit for you, learn slowly, click on the link in the bio When I see that you've joined, I will reach out to you or certainly send me a an email if you'd like. The system should prompt you to request for you to automatically go into this private Facebook group. But as a backup, send me an email at Eugene Brown at Kraken with two Ks.org. Eugene Brown, Eugene Brown at Kraken, excuse me, .org, not .com. Send me an email there and just let me know you've joined and send me your specifics, maybe a phone number or your email address. And also, I'll make sure you're in that group. Trading has been amazing to me, you guys. I think it's the best opportunity that's out there. I think there's a lot of things that you can do, certainly to make money, whether that's, drop shipping or, you're a TikTok affiliate, you're a medical courier, you're whatever. You sell snow cones in a truck. Whatever it is, figure out what you're interested in and then go get it. Go scale it. Go really go at it. I like trading because I can do it from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. A person could do it at their full-time job, so they don't have to quit their job. Um, you really can make a lot of money. As long as you have internet access, you have an opportunity to do some things. Trading has changed our lives. I still have a lot to learn. I want to be like that lady right there. That is the CEO of Ford. I'm not the CEO of AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, wherever she is on this screen. They're over this way. Advanced Micro Devices. You see bulls and bears right there. Um, One of the wealthiest self-made women on the planet. Miss, what's her name? Wang, what is her name? Oh, Lisa Su. Want to do well. So going at it, really trying to be the best that you can be at something, that is where the money is. Just if you really want to get good at something, you go at it. And then trust me, the money will follow you because you're really good at what you do. And so trading is just an amazing opportunity. I don't have to talk to anybody if I don't want to. I don't have to sell anything. I don't have to produce any content if I don't want nothing. It's just you and the information, and you're taking your own money and you're just moving money from this pile to this pile. Maybe this day I make 8%, and then tomorrow I lose 2%, and then I make 12%. I'm just moving my money. There's nothing better to me than trading. And I'll tell you again, and this is not me selling it, any damn body can learn how to trade. It's not hard. Um, but it just takes you time to get good at it is all. And the only reason is you have to see enough of the pitfalls. You have to see the movie enough times for you to say, "Oh, I've seen this movie before. I understand what I'm looking at." And you just got to get the reps in. Like no one comes out of the gate, becoming whatever, LeBron James or Lionel Messi or somebody. No one's like just is the best of the best right out of the gate. You have to learn. You have to put your time in. So if this interests you, let me know. Um, Last time, send me an email, Eugene Brown at Kraken, Krakken.org. Let me know you're interested. I'll reach out to you. But the investment piece is not big. I try not to take too much time with the reaching out. I'm not going to rehash through a bunch of stuff. We're talking less than 38 bucks. If you want to get your feet wet, go that direction. If you know you want to lean in a bit more at around $97 a month and you want like more than double the training and the time and some more stock picks and that sort of thing, then lean in that way. You guys know it fits into your budget. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. I've got to get off here, and we'll try to do this again maybe tomorrow, but not as long. So hopefully, you guys have a great Saturday and enjoy some football if you're a football fan. And we shall talk to you soon. Bye.